Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Achieving Efficiency in an Economic Downturn. I'm Jennifer Getz, the Editorial Director of Facility Executive Magazine, and this webinar is presented by GridPoint. Before we get started, I'll cover a few housekeeping items. Please note the control panel on your screen. This is where you can submit questions via the question box at any time. There will be a Q&A portion after this presentation, so please type your questions there to send them to us. If at any time you experience a technical difficulty, please send a message to us via that question section, and someone on our team will answer you privately. Also, please note the orange arrow on the left side of your control panel. Clicking on that arrow will either expand or collapse the control panel, so please be sure the panel is expanded so you can access the question box. And if you are interested in continuing education credits, please note that you'll receive a certificate of attendance in an email from Facility Executive after this webinar. You can report to your association for the credit. Now I'll introduce your speakers. Emily Fisher has been in the energy space for 8 years. At GridPoint, she is responsible for growing utility partnerships and developing, launching, and managing the implementation of GridPoint across active utility programs. In her previous role at Wilden, she managed different energy efficiency programs across SDG&E, SCE, and SoCal Glass, managing $20 million worth of program budgets. Additionally, she led the launch of one of Wilden's largest energy efficiency programs and developed processes and procedures to incorporate new enhanced offerings to develop pathways to creating grid interactive efficient buildings while ensuring cost effectiveness. Emily also serves as the new membership chair for the California AESP chapter. Rachel Marcus is a demand response program manager at GridPoint, a leader in building energy management and optimization technology that decarbonizes commercial buildings and drives grid modernization. With over a decade of experience driving sustainability programs, policy, and customer success, Rachel brings a unique perspective to demand response, DR, planning, and distributed energy resource, DER, procedures. At GridPoint, she is responsible for accelerating the growth of grid interactive assets within DR programming and DER partnerships. Previously, Rachel led a number of DR and smart metering efforts, customer success strategies, and peak shaving programming at industry-leading companies. Additionally, she spent time helping develop and pass Act 129 in Pennsylvania to reduce energy consumption, forming the Delaware Sustainable Energy Utility and mandating renewable portfolio standards in Delaware, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Maryland. Emily and Rachel, thank you for joining us today. Emily, take it away.
Yeah, good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you guys are. This is Rachel speaking, and I just wanted to quickly go over what we're going to cover today. So there's a lot of challenges that facilities managers are facing, and we're seeing it up front and every day with our customers. So we're going to be talking about the energy and supply chain challenges that you guys are facing, the efficiencies through intelligent buildings, what operational efficiency is, what that can mean for you, how to overcome operational inefficiencies using HVAC testing and building intelligence data, and some additional efficiencies that you guys can take advantage of to save money or even earn extra revenue. And we'll summarize all of this at the end, again, with some key takeaways, and there will be plenty of time for some Q&A. But we really just want you guys to know we work with facilities managers every day, and we see these issues firsthand, so we're hoping that this will be useful for you guys.
Thanks, Rachel. As we all know, there have been ongoing supply chain challenges and labor shortages that are affecting organizations like yours. Because manufacturers can't get supply out fast enough to meet the demand, pricing has continuously risen over the past calendar year. And because the demand hasn't dropped, manufacturers are still able to sell at higher prices, so there's no motivation to lower the prices once the supply chain problems slow down. Additionally, due to these supply chain delays, field techs are spending more time to complete projects due to delays on parts to make repairs, along with labor rates going up significantly. Overall, this is leading to higher operational costs, and with utility rates also continuing to rise, it's making it very difficult for facility managers like yourselves to maintain the budget while also completing the necessary projects. We're hearing this from our customers over and over again, and if you're experiencing this, you're not alone.
Okay, we've arrived at our first poll question. Is your 2023 budget either growing, remaining the same, or decreasing? You have about 20 to 30 seconds to respond. Okay, the results are in. So the majority says that their 2023 budgets are remaining the same at 58%. 27% said they're growing. Their 2023 budgets are growing, and 15% said their budgets are decreasing.
Thanks for that feedback, everybody. And yeah, we are seeing that a lot of our customers are keeping the remaining budget. And like I mentioned on the previous slide, a lot of the supply chain management and labor shortages are causing issues with making sure that budget is being maintained. But with data, it can help. So no matter how old the building is or whether the HVAC units are brand new or on their last leg, visibility into how your building's units and assets are performing can provide 3 different types of benefits. So the first one is operational benefits. So ensuring that consistency and comfort is happening among the employees and the staff with the temperatures, preventing inventory loss and minimizing food spoilage. There's a pharmacy that we've worked with that has saved over 50,000 in medical inventory due to our system and being able to monitor the temperatures. Triage issues, being able to remotely identify what HVAC units may need help and being able to prioritize that maintenance. Number 2 would be energy benefits. So on average, we see sites saving about 12% on their HVAC equipment through energy management. They're seeing those savings through being able to set schedules and set points. The AI, our solution, uses to optimize those HVAC units, along with override policies, which allows you to minimize the duration and number of degrees that a temperature can be changed locally. Additionally, being able to mitigate peak demand charges by shifting energy use and also participating in demand response events when available. And we'll touch a little bit on that later. And then finally, resiliency benefits, which can allow your site to continue functioning even if the grid goes out, if you have generation or battery storage, and being able to really minimize the downtime on your site. So to minimize, there's a need to start utilizing more data to understand the operational costs, along with improving transparency and identifying savings opportunities and other benefits.
Thanks, Emily. So I want to talk a little bit about what operational efficiency really means. And, I see that poll result, and I'm sure so many of you are thinking, I have to do a lot more with increasing prices, and how am I going to hit my budget this year? And so operational efficiency is a way that we can help you do that. You guys know your buildings better than anyone, and we're not going to take over the management of your building, but we want to give you the tools to be able to do that. So what does that mean? It's reducing your waste in terms of your time, your energy, your effort, the cost of materials, minimizing the downtime. We know from our customers, downtime can be really costly, whether it's down because an HVAC unit broke and you can't operate your building, or any other number of issues that can lead to downtime. It's really expensive for you and goes against your budget. Maintaining that budget. Most of you are being asked to do more with the exact same budget. Some of you are being asked to do more with less. A handful of you are lucky enough to have an increase in budget, but I bet every single one of you will tell us it's not enough. And so using data to make smarter decisions allows you to hit that budget, even exceed it in some cases. And then we want to improve productivity and profitability for you. So really just put the tools at your fingertips to be able to better run your building, better run your business.
We've arrived at our next poll question. How many buildings are you currently managing? Select one of the following: 0 to 19, 20 to 100, or over 100. You have about 20 to 30 seconds. Okay, the results are in. So for our audience today, we have the majority with 59% is managing 0 to 19 buildings, followed by 30% is managing 20 to 100, and 11% is managing over 100 buildings.
And so no matter how many buildings you are managing, you're still experiencing operational pain points. So as mentioned earlier, we all understand there are supply chain delays and rising costs that are impacting businesses across the board, making it harder to maintain budgets. So these pain points will hit you even harder. Again, with data and insights into your building, you can overcome these issues and be able to triage units that are failing. For prioritizing calls from site managers about HVAC issues, some of who may even have you on speed dial. Energy management systems can provide data and reports to help you understand the severity of the HVAC units and their health. Energy management systems also allow you to balance comfort and savings. With record high temperatures this summer, we had customers choose comfort over savings, but these reports allow you to determine those priorities. We had another customer that's a restaurant chain in Southern California and Texas with over 50 sites installed. And there they were experiencing really high temperatures this summer. And we were supporting them with identifying, if the units were failing or if it was just the weather, along with shielding against site manager complaints. Understanding your HVAC equipment and other assets can allow you to prioritize and identify issues and minimize unnecessary attempts at fixing the units. No one has an abundance of times these days, especially if you are managing, over 100 different sites. So having data and reports available can be a huge time saver. We have energy advisors that are able to share these reports with you, and you're also able to automatically sign up to receive them however often you'd like. So you can do weekly, monthly, every day, but you can get them sent into your inbox and be able to share it with key employees along with your HVAC technicians. And you can use these to identify and prioritize issues that may be happening with your HVAC units or refrigeration or lighting or other assets. Is someone leaving a refrigerator door open, and is it causing the refrigerator and HVAC units to overwork to make up for the loss of cold air? This solution can help identify issues like that. Given the lack of time, having energy advisors who are experts in energy data can help you and allow you to manage exceptions instead of sifting through the data on your own. And our goal is to make it easy for you, to minimize time waste and be able to take action on the data that we're able to provide to you. Here's an example of how the data can be portrayed to you. As you can see, certain units are failing at stage 1 and stage 2, and this can be used to prioritize and triage what the issue may be. It's intelligence in the form of discrete data, and it can provide you with actions to prioritize. As you see on the bottom right, the energy advisors have provided prioritized actions to help the facility managers understand where to prioritize their attention and fix these failing units. A lot of you likely have seasonal HVAC maintenance programs, and that's great, but having this precise reporting allows for conditions to be made based on where they may be seeing issues, your units failing, and being able to be less costly and better. So really being able to avoid that reactive maintenance. And the US Department of Energy states that sites can save 12 to 18% or more by implementing preventative maintenance, something like an energy management system, and being able to take this data when compared to reactive maintenance. So it equates to about $1 spent on preventative maintenance, which would actually be $5 spent on repairs. We have around 20,000 customers that have been installed, and we've supported our customers in identifying these malfunctioning units and triaging the issue for almost 20 years now. As you'll see, last year we identified 32,000 units that were malfunctioning and supported those customers in getting those repairs made. Now I'm going to pass it off to Rachel.
Thank you, Emily. So we're going to talk a little bit more now about the energy and resiliency benefits, what demand response is, and how do you sell this to your finance team, your CFO, convince them to put in what they may view as a costly energy management system when really this thing's going to pay for itself. So what is demand response? I imagine some of you have heard this term before, but for a lot of people, this is pretty new. And demand response is a great way for your business to earn cash. We say that again, earn cash, you'll get a check by supporting grid resiliency while also supporting the local sustainability initiatives. And we're going to talk a little bit more on how we do that in these next few slides. So when I say earn revenue from helping the grid, I really mean it. We are going to intelligently reduce your consumption when the grid is most at need. I'm sure a lot of you have seen headlines just in the past couple of weeks. Last week, it was historically hot in California. There was a lot of talk about the grid potentially going down, widespread blackouts and brownouts. I think we've all heard a story or two about when this happens in Texas. And even in Denver, just a couple weeks ago, there was some serious grid emergency where they relied on these types of programs to keep the lights on at your homes. And so at its core, demand response is supporting grid resiliency. It's using your energy a little bit differently to prevent a blackout or a brownout. Ultimately, there's very little risk to you guys, the facilities managers, your business, your operations. We want to do this intelligently. We take a data-driven approach to identify which facilities and within your facilities, which HVAC units might be best suited to participate in a program like this. And we will take care of enrolling all of those into the market for you. We've got a whole army of folks that help to identify the best programs for your operational needs, take care of everything behind the scenes to get you in the market. And then our system makes this all fully automated. So what does that mean? You guys don't have to lift a finger. You just get a check every quarter and put it back into your budget. So I want to talk a little bit about no impact to site comfort. We're going to talk a little more on the next slide, but we really want to prioritize choosing the right HVAC units to go into a program like this. We know that there's a maintenance issue or that's an undersized HVAC unit. Your site might get a little too hot during a demand response event, and that's not what we want to see. So we're going to work smarter, not harder, and pick the right sites to really give you guys the best benefit without putting your business at risk. The final benefit of doing these programs are, one, there's a huge sustainability benefit. During these times of peak demand, when these programs get dispatched, that's also going to be the time that the energy generation mix is the dirtiest on the grid. So lots of different types of power plants that are not very clean, generally a time when there's not much solar or wind. And you're curtailing during that time. That makes the curtailment a lot more valuable in terms of sustainability. And finally, as I said, you're going to earn revenue. So you will get a check for this. It doesn't cost anything to participate. You get paid by the grid. And nothing is better than giving that money back to your finance team and watching them smile. So the number one question I get from everybody is what's going to happen inside my building during an event. So events get triggered for a number of reasons, but it's primarily due to an emergency on the electric grid. Sometimes it's a capacity shortage, pricing signals, but we're going to get notification from the grid operator or the utility that there's an emergency and they need your site to curtail some of your demand. What does that mean for you? We're going to pre-cool your facility. So if you look, there's a bold line towards the bottom that's showing the zone temperature. So you'll see we pre-cool the buildings, and then at the start of the event, we'll change your HVAC set point by 3 degrees, 4 degrees, 5 degrees. It depends on your units, your building. We'll customize that to you. And you'll stay curtailed throughout the event while your temperature slowly drifts back up to whatever your max set point might have been. We've been doing this for many years, and we did a study last year where we saw that less than 0.2%, so less than a whole percent of our sites had too hot complaints associated with demand response events. So what that means is it's not going to interrupt your business. It's not going to result in a bunch of phone calls complaining it's too hot. Provides relief for the grid, keeps the lights on at your house, and you get paid for it. So everybody really wins. So now I want to touch also on some additional rebates and incentives that are out there. So as I mentioned, the big question is always, how am I going to sell this back up the chain to my CFO? And the great news is there's a lot of rebates and incentives available locally, nationally. Some are unique to our company, some are out there for anyone to go after. But we can help our customers identify energy efficiency and demand response programs based on what utility your facilities are in. We'll take care of applying for all of those rebates and incentives and ensure that we're meeting all the program requirements. Some of these rebates have a lot of requirements to make sure that they'll be met so you get that full payment, and we have a great track record of that. In the end, you get that cash back, and that makes it really easy to go back and sell this up the chain if you need to. We find that when we are able to bring both rebates, incentives, and demand response, a lot of the time we can get 30% of the project covered, 50%. In some places, even 100% of the project is covered. So makes it a real no-brainer.
Okay, we've arrived at another poll question. Is your company currently utilizing an energy management system? Yes or no? Okay, the results are in. So 61% said yes, they are currently utilizing an energy management system, and 39% said no.
That's great. I'm pleasantly surprised to see how many of you are already taking advantage of energy management systems, but it sounds like a lot of you have not had the opportunity to work with a system like this and see the benefits. And so I just want to kind of tie it back to what we first were talking about, why we're here today. You guys are being asked to do more with less or with the same budget, facing rising costs of materials, supply chain issues, inflation, and there's a real value stack when you're looking at a product like this. So in addition to the operational savings that you're going to receive, so that is reduced downtime, that is finding HVAC issues before they become a real serious problem. You get those operational savings. You're also going to have the energy savings, that 10 to 20 to even 30%, depending on your energy usage. That's dollars from your budget that you are saving every month. There's the resiliency benefits, making sure there's not blackouts, brownouts that can take you guys offline. And when a company deploys this enterprise-wide, those those values just exponentially expand and makes it really a home run for you. So this is one example of a customer of ours. They are a quick serve restaurant chain, 2,100 sites. And as you can see, they were able to get a great ROI, 214% ROI across their 5-year term. So yes, if you're wondering, does that sound too good to be true? This is accurate. This means in addition to the energy savings, the operational savings, the energy efficiency benefits, and that check that they get from demand response, it is more than double what the cost of this energy management system would be on a monthly basis. They were able to take advantage of 1.5 million in energy efficiency incentives. The rollout took 13 months, and they had almost 3 megawatts of flexible capacity. And if you see at the bottom, there was a sustainability benefit as well, the 2.1 metric tons of CO2 avoided. That's becoming very important for a lot of businesses, and we help you keep track of that so you can report it out. So we just want to go through these key takeaways, and then we'll open it up to Q&A. As we mentioned, using an energy management system allows you to save budget with predictive maintenance, prevent the problems before they occur, before they become really costly to repair. You can uncover HVAC performance issues to prioritize the repairs and maintenance across sites. Sometimes it looks like an issue when you put in a door sensor and you find it wasn't a real issue. Someone's just been propping open the back door, letting all the cold air out, and we can discover that kind of intelligence before you roll a truck to fix it. Using less energy through energy management and leveraging utility incentives is great for the planet, it's great for your business, it's great for your budget. And you can create additional revenue by enrolling in demand response programs, putting that money right back into your budget, padding your budget, allowing you to hit those numbers, and sometimes even come out ahead at the end of the year. So we'd love to open it up for some Q&A. If anyone has any questions, we're here. And this is how you can get in touch with us. Yep, thank you.
Awesome. So Emily and Rachel, thank you for this presentation, and thank you to all our attendees for sending in questions. As we've said, we'll now have some time to Q&A the questions that you've sent in. And if you have any other questions, please continue sending them in. Okay, so to start, we have one gentleman asking, does this solution make sense for facility managers that are only managing one building?
I'm happy to take that one. Yes, it definitely does. We target mass market customers as well, or mom and pop shops, and it's just as beneficial for a customer that has only one site versus 100 sites. Of course, there's greater benefits when there's more sites, being able to remotely control all of the sites, but you still get the same amount of savings and ability to remotely control your site from your desktop or your phone.
Perfect. Awesome. Okay, let me go through and see here. Can we create an intelligent building without installing the lighting and sensors we talked about?
Yeah, I can take this one too. Most definitely. Our packages are essentially, they build off of one another. And so if you want to just look at HVAC controls, that's where you're going to see the greatest savings. And you're welcome to, start there, or, start and stop there and just look at your HVAC controls. And, if you don't want to monitor any additional assets, or if you don't have any additional assets, you're welcome to just do the HVAC controls.
Perfect. Thank you. And Rachel, I think this question might be a little more tailored to you and what you spoke about, but you can correct me if I'm wrong. What were some of the 32K malfunctions last year? Was it general maintenance items or actual malfunctions, as in the unit was not working?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that actually was one of Emily's slides, but we see a number of different health issues that get triggered. So sometimes they are malfunctions. Sometimes we're seeing their, HVAC units are not hitting their set points regularly. We're able to use different sensors and building intelligence to determine, is it hitting the temperature in the duct but not in the zone? Are doors being left open? Are things about to break? There's a lot of different elements that we look at, and we have our energy advisory services team that will help look at all that data, analyze it, and provide it back to facilities managers as discrete actions that you can take, looking at which units are the worst. Often we find that you've identified maybe 5 or 6 HVAC units that you're planning to replace this year, and our data shows those are actually okay. 5 or 6 other ones that are about to be a problem for you. So we uncover a lot of different things using data as intelligence.
Perfect. Awesome. So we have another question here. Someone's asking, what if you are in a location where there rarely are issues with the grid, so no brownouts?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the first thing I want to say is I just got back from a conference last week where I was sitting next to several utilities that said we never have this problem. And then they all watched California go through a really serious emergency last week, and they said, oh, this actually probably could happen to us. The reality is electrification is happening much faster than a lot of people predicted. There's more electric vehicles coming online. There's, you know, electrification in houses, and renewables just are not getting online as quickly as the older, dirtier power plants are getting taken offline. And so places that have historically not seen a lot of these issues are starting to become very concerned. A lot of them are seeing these. Many of them are getting ahead of it by launching demand response programs now. And the nice thing about those programs is there tends to be two payments with demand response. One is you signing up and offering to be insurance for the grid. And that tends to be the larger payment. And in a lot of these programs where we don't see a lot of emergencies, you get that payment even if there's no emergency. So even if nothing goes wrong on the grid, you'll still get paid. If there is a grid emergency and they call upon you, you'll get additional payment in the form of an energy payment that covers the cost of curtailing that day. So it's great to take advantage of that. We have a lot of customers that have really enjoyed being in certain markets that never get dispatched because they're pretty stable. It's likely that there's still a program there and a way for you to take advantage without having to do much operationally different.
Thank you. And it's funny you mentioned demand response. Our next question is this demand response worth it? You don't have staff to dedicate to focus on running this technology or the technology.
Oh, I love this question. So I can't speak for every energy management system. What I can speak for is ours, and it's fully automated. So once you sign up, we will get you enrolled and you don't ever have to lift a finger. So your staff is not doing anything. Essentially, we will enroll you and it all happens kind of magically behind the scenes through software, where we will pre-cool your building when we've heard a signal from the grid. We will curtail you for the hours that the grid is under stress, and then we will restore you back to normal operations. We even have an intelligent restore that makes sure you're not spiking as you turn things back on. Right now, it's focused mostly on HVAC, but certainly we could bring in other things: HVAC, lighting, generators, backup, storage, whatever assets you have on site, even EV charging, as people are starting to put that in. And it shouldn't require any action from the people on site if you're doing this through an energy management system. So you just sit back and get checks as we pay you for this.
Awesome, cool. And then for our next question, are there demand response programs available all throughout the nation?
Yeah, I would say right now, probably 85% of the country has at least one demand response program available. I expect in a year or two that there will be DR programs available everywhere. A lot of the utilities I spoke with last week said, oh, we're getting ready to launch one for 2023. And so right now at GridPoint, we're offering about 35 different demand response programs across North America. And I expect that to double by next year.
Awesome, cool. Our next question here is, does this process come with a supply agreement?
Yeah, that's a great question. Emily, I don't know if you want me to take that one or not.
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, so this is something that we see a lot. So if we are helping you, one, identify exactly how much you're using in your building and then can predict how much you're going to reduce, it gives you a lot more leverage when you're negotiating a supply agreement. We also have some partnerships with some of the suppliers that we can put you in touch with. We're also starting to see on the supply side some interest in demand response. So a number of our customers right now participating in a demand response program with their suppliers, where essentially the supplier is, hedging. So they've gone out and purchased supply. Maybe they purchased a little too much. They want to sell it back into the market, and to be able to safely do that, they're asking you to curtail and paying you for it. So all of this kind of works together. It's all in the same ecosystem. And this absolutely helps to better negotiate your supply contract.
Awesome, perfect. Okay, we have a couple questions. Budgets are already tight. How can adding another piece of software to our rotation really save us money?
I can take this, and then Rachel, if you want to chime in with anything else.
Yep.
So our solution, often we're able to leverage utility incentives initially just for the energy efficiency savings that most of our customers, well, all of our customers see. So it can help reduce the out-of-pocket cost for our solution. But additionally, our whole goal is to make sure that you don't have, a real out-of-pocket cost, so that we are exceeding the savings on a monthly basis than what you're paying on a monthly basis for the subscription. So that's our whole purpose, and we're trying to make sure that you are, bringing in, or not, I guess, spending less money than you were before the solution. And then additionally, that's excluding the operational savings that you'll likely see with the preventative maintenance, along with the demand response incentives that can, add additional revenue to your site.
Yeah, I think Emily really nailed that. But I would just say I've, been involved with a couple of recent pitches, and in every single case, using incentives and rebates and demand response, plus all the savings that our customers see, in almost every case, it was net positive in year one. So you were actually coming out of year one making money. And across the 5 years, if that's the term that you choose, it's almost always a slam dunk where the system pays for itself and then some.
Okay, awesome. So I think we have about time for one last question. So can you kind of tell, what is it like to implement this solution?
Sure. So I think I'll take the first stab, and then Rachel, you can chime in again. So, once you're signed up and enrolled, we'll try to go through the incentive applications along with the demand response incentives while the site is getting scheduled for installation. Typically, it's 4 to 6 weeks post-sale that we would come out and actually do the installation. And then in terms of the installation itself, it's very easy. Typically, it takes less than a day to complete. Obviously depending on the site. But it's a basic controller that needs to be connected to your internet router. And then obviously the specific assets like the thermostats, the duct probes, zone sensors, stuff like that, that's typically replacing what's already existing. So it's a relatively non-invasive installation. And typically, if you have a property manager, we don't have much, hesitation from them in terms of installing it, because it is simply just replacing what's already existing besides for the controller. So relatively simple installation, and then usually it's commissioned within that same day. So you'll start being able to access the portal where you can see all of your reports and data, almost immediately after installation, and then be able to learn with our energy advisors on what you can do to really optimize the system, and making sure you're doing everything you can to try to save on your energy bills.
Awesome, great. Well, thank you guys so much. It looks like we are out of time. Emily, Rachel, thank you again for today's discussion, and to GridPoint for sponsoring this webinar. And thank you to our audience for attending today. A recording from today's session will be made available on our magazine's website, facilityexecutive.com, and at gridpoint.com. Thank you and have a great afternoon.
Thank you.